the Rockies. It's game number 11 against the American League this year. Thus far, they are 5-5 as they get set to take on the Tampa Bay Rays. Last time they saw Tampa Bay was 2013. The Rays won 2 of 3 here in Denver. Overall, the Rockies are 8-4 against the Rays at Coors Field. 8-7 overall all-time against the Rays. They've only been to Tampa one time in the Trop. And there is Tyler Anderson getting ready to go. He had a rather memorable performance his last time out, Billy.
Are you kidding me? He had a memorable performance. He had an amazing performance. He got his first major league win. And when we look at Tyler Anderson, the first time I saw him, I go, oh my goodness, we have a pitcher. Someone that can throw a changeup, something I've always wanted to see at Coors Field. Fastball, changeup, slider mix, can move the ball up in the zone. More importantly, had his first base hit, had his first home run.
Got a lot of firsts out of the way. Today was a special night for Tyler Anderson, and he's been outstanding every time he's taken the baseball. For more on Tyler Anderson and other Rockies news, here's our Mark Stout. Hey, Mark.
Hey, Drew, the fact that he got the win in his last start, pretty amazing. This time last year, he wasn't even pitching, rehabbing that stress fracture in his pitching arm, but he was involved. Listen to Walt Weiss. He was with the Isotopes. He was doing baseball things which helped him when he got to the big leagues.
He hit the ground running at the major league level because he prepared himself so well. You know, mentally, he threw 200 innings last year because he was in the dugout, charting games, charting hitters, talking the game with the other pitchers. So in his mind, he had a full season last year, and that's why he showed up here so prepared to do what he's doing.
Yeah, Walt Weiss talks about Tyler Anderson from the neck up, and that is an important part of pitching, guys.
Well, this is a sharp guy, Mark. I'm glad you brought that up. He's a pitcher, as Spilly was saying, through and through. You look at his numbers. I want to go back again to what Mark was alluding to in his time in the minor leagues. He was 25-12 with a 2.38 ERA in the minor leagues. That doesn't happen by accident.
No, it doesn't. And when you look at him, he is as polished of a pitcher as we've seen the Colorado Rockies have at the major league level as a rookie. I think you can think back to Jason Jennings, maybe an Aaron Cook, somebody that is pretty polished. Look at the numbers. They won't jump out at you. But what's impressive is you look at the fastball percentage, only 41% of the time. He can run that fastball up to 93 miles an hour, has several different changeups he can throw. The curveball, even though it's only used 1% of the time, he picks his spots to change eye levels. This guy can absolutely pitch.
And the guy at the plate has absolutely hit left-handed pitching this year, Logan Forsythe, the former San Diego Padre. He's leading things off. The Rockies employ a shift with Forsythe, and that fastball's on the outer edge. You know what that reminded me of? Jeff Francis. Jeff's first pitch of the game, always shaved and block on the outside corner with a little bit of sink.
That's a great comp. I think Tyler Anderson and Jeff Francis do share quite a bit in common.
Well, they definitely share the cerebral aspect of being able to pitch, in addition, obviously, both being left-handed. 76 degrees, our game time temperature. That delay at the outset of 32 minutes. Now, here's the 1-1, and this is popped up to center field. And Charlie Blackmon has it, 1 out. Let's take a look at the Southwest batting order for second-year manager Kevin Cash. He's going to have Kevin Kiermaier batting second, and then Evan Longoria, the biggest name in their lineup and their leader. Brandon Guyer is going to bat cleanup today. Logan Morrison, you've heard of him. He's the other lefty in the lineup. And then Steven Souza Jr., Tim Beckham, a former #1 pick overall. And then batting 8th, Luke Maley, and the pitcher Drew Smiley. No swing. They check it out. Kiermaier has gotten a national reputation for how well he plays center field. And it's a deserved reputation. This guy is extremely athletic. Still working on the offensive side. 221 batting average. He can run into one. He's a solid guy. He's about 6'1", 215 pounds. He's strong. He's over his last 10 at the plate. And that 1-1's down low. 2-1.
Kiermaier earlier this year fractured his wrist, and now he's coming back. Just came off the disabled list recently. He's 0 for 8 since being back, but you're talking about the unbelievable play he does in the outfield. He was drafted in the 31st round.
There's only been a couple of Rays, and you know what? That is the latest check I have ever seen where you get the strike call. Honestly, I've never seen one later. Usually if it's that late, the umpire on one of the corners is not going to overrule what the home plate umpire saw. It's now 3-2. That's Bob Davidson at third. Home plate umpire is the crew chief, Dan Iasanya. He's a good umpire. Clint Fagan's at first, and Paul Emmel is at second base. 3-2 with 1 out, just underway. Again, a 32-minute rain delay. Kevin Kiermaier, drafted late, as Spilly was saying, out of a Midwestern junior college. He's at Parkland Junior College. He put up ridiculous numbers there.
Back-to-back All-American type numbers. And what was interesting and funny to me is he had a letter of intent to go to Purdue. His brother went to Purdue as a field learning turf management. And when he ended up signing baseball, he still considers himself the greatest Purdue fan in Tampa.
Well, a 1-out walk. We haven't seen many of those from Tyler Anderson. That'll bring up Longoria. And here's the Rockies defensively. Ryan Rayburn's getting the start in left field. Charlie Blackmon in center. Cargo naturally is in right. Arenado, Story, LeMahieu, Reynolds, the familiar foursome in the infield with Nick Hundley behind the plate. Rockies shut out for the 5th time yesterday, losing 1-0. Braves walk-off winners in the bottom of the 9th on a 2-out base hit by d'Arnaud. And that pitch misses. 1-0 on Longoria. Talked about him in the open. He hit his 20th and 21st home runs yesterday as the Rays won 5-2 over Baltimore and snapped a 8-game losing streak. Longoria and Troy Tulowitzki remain very close friends. Teammates at Long Beach State.
Roommates at Long Beach State as well.
Tulo in spring training for years would stay at Longoria's house because Evan and his wife and kids live in Scottsdale in the offseason. Now, of course, Troy with Toronto, and Toronto trains in Florida in spring training. Two and one. So Anderson off a little bit with his command early in this game. 13 pitches, 7 have been out of the strike zone. You know, I've watched a few baseball games, Spilly, and for the life of me, I can't tell when a lefty balks or not. Can you?
Sometimes it's really blatant when they start striding towards home plate. Frankie Morales was notorious for it.
Line drive, and that's toward the gap in left center field, and on the wet grass, it's going to go to the wall. Kiermaier runs well. He's going to score, and heading towards third with a triple is Longoria. 1-0 Tampa. 50th RBI for Evan Longoria.
Longo's sitting in a 2-1 count. He had 2 home runs yesterday, so you know he's locked in. First triple of the season for Longo, and you can see where the location is. Not bad location. Longo just reaches down and grabs it. You see where the outfielders are playing and how the ball skips. Not much Charlie Blackmon or Ryan Rayburn can do, and that's an easy run for Kevin Kiermaier. Score from first base.
Now you want to stay out of bad counts, and Tyler a little bit off early in the game. He got behind a great hitter and he paid for it. Here's Brandon Guyer. Not a real big name, but he's hitting in the cleanup spot tonight for Kevin Cash. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, Brandon Guyer was a Chicago Cubs minor league player of the year in 2010, along with Chris Archer, who was the minor league pitcher of the year for the Chicago Cubs. Both were traded in the Matt Garza deal.
And this is on the ground to third. Coming home with it is Arenado. Out at the plate. Good play by Nolan. That saved a run. There's never any panic. Spilly, not that easy to play because he's rolling to his left. Longoria has not great speed, but decent speed. He's got to throw kind of across his body.
It's the angle, and Nolan looks up off his back leg, able to throw that baseball. Not many guys can make that throw. And Nolan throws that like it's a dart and hits the bullseye right in Nick Hundley's chest.
And a great job by Nick of making sure he got the tag down on the creative slide by Longoria. Boy, that's big. 2 outs. Guyer at first base. And here's Logan Morrison. Would that be a DRS there, Spilly?
Yes, that's a defensive run saved. If it's not, we have issues. And whenever you see Nolan make those type of plays, usually when position players are standing at their position, they're thinking, okay, if a ball's hit to my right, I'll have a chance to maybe throw it over Longoria's shoulder. If it's hit to my left, what speed is it going to be? Am I going to have to spin? If I have to spin, I'm going to throw it to first. Nolan's thinking of all the potential plays before it even happens. So when it does get hit to his left, he knows right away what he's going to do with it.
Quickly a 2-strike count on Lomo. Logan Morrison, the guy who's been around the game, big sturdy first baseman. He can put on a show in batting practice. 290 out on the road so far this year for Logan Morrison. Just $177 at the Trop. Boy, you had Nick Hundley getting ready to exit. You had Tyler Anderson getting ready to head to the dugout as well.
Well, you try not to ever show up the home plate umpire. Tonight's Dan Iasonia behind home plate. You like to have that pitch. I'm sure if you throw it in there again, you may get the call.
I don't think Morrison would be gutsy enough to not swing at it again. All-speed pitch is fouled off. Remember when Lomo got in a little hot water with the Marlins for tweeting too much?
Amazing, he was ahead of his time.
Yes.
Now it's par for the course.
Yeah. I was chatting with him before the ball game. He said, "Man, I'd love to live here." We're not keeping people out.
No, you're always welcome.
We took the Santa Barbara kid.
Which one was that? Oh, me?
Yeah, it'd be you.
Yeah, if they let me in.
We actually wanted Stacy, and you just came with the your kids when you came with the package.
Came with the package.
2-2 on Morrison. It's a 22-pitch inning already for Tyler Anderson. Run on the board for the Rays. Waiting for the baseball's Ryan Rayburn. He's got it. So the Rays got a run after the walk to Kiermaier. Evan Longoria tripled him in. 1-0. ready to go. The Rockies back home for 7, 3 against Tampa, and then the Braves come in for a 4-game set. That's the Southwest batting order for the Rockies. Walt has DJ LeMahieu batting second. And for a while now, he's kind of gone with Nolan Arenado batting third and Cargo behind him. Trevor Story will be in that 5th spot. First portion of the year, of course, Trevor was batting second primarily. Ryan Rayburn, Mark Reynolds, Nick Hundley, and then the slugger, Tyler Anderson. Bat 9th. And Drew Smiley, guy who is really well thought of out of the Detroit organization. He came in the David Price deal. And when he first arrived in Tampa, boy, he was as advertised. Then he had a slight labrum tear, and he's not been the same guy since then. And in particular of late, he has really struggled. He's got a great curveball, Spilly.
He does. He has a fantastic curveball, and one of the better ones as far as whiff percentages. A lot of swing and misses, 42% of the time. Looking at some of the numbers, he had back-to-back starts earlier this year in April, where he struck out 11 Cleveland Indians and followed it up with 11 Boston Red Sox. And if you look at the game numbers, his fastball velocity, we often point to fastball velocity as being an indicator of stuff. It's about 2 miles an hour faster than where he's sitting right about now. So you look at those numbers, you figure with a 92-mile-an-hour fastball and a swing and miss curveball, you can understand the numbers. Since it's dipped down, not a lot of margin for error for Drew Smiley.
2-2 on Blackmon, riding a 9-game hitting streak. That's out of play. How about this, Spilly? Last year, remember us talking about this quite a bit, the Rockies couldn't beat a left-hander. Just 11 victories against left-handed starters all year. They already have 12 this season. Trying to make it 13 tonight. And Smiley, with a 92-mile-an-hour fastball, strikes out. Blackmon, one guy. The Rays defensively have been kind of a middle-of-the-road team. Brandon Geyer can play center field, and they'll need him and his speed because he's in left tonight in the Ponderosa. Kevin Kiermaier, we talked about him, with very few peers in terms of how he'll go and get the baseball in center field. Souza is in right. Pitches in there for a strike.
I think when you look at this Tampa Bay Rays team, and last year they led the American League starters ERA for back-to-back seasons between 2014 and 15. Tampa Bay Rays pitching staff was 4th in baseball with ERA. This year they lost Alex Cobb to Tommy John. That was one of their big names. Brian Boxberger, their closer of last year, he's been hurt with an oblique.
He's throwing tonight, actually, on a rehab assignment. I believe he's in Charlotte tonight.
But then when you have hiccups like Drew Smiley, and you talked about the first 24 starts with Tampa Bay after the
line down the right field line, that'll shoot to the corner. And LeMahieu will shut it down at second with a 1-out double. DJ came in batting .330, second best average in the National League.
See on the Subaru Supermo, the .380 batting average at home, he just raised that up, and part of the reason, his ability to take pitches off the plate and hit them hard to the opposite field. He has so much coverage, being 6'4". He just understands his plate, the plate discipline that DJ LeMahieu has.
This is 103rd hit of the year. And here's Arenado facing Smiley for the first time in his career. Nolan went 4 for 11 in the Atlanta series, scored 3 runs, drove a run in. His league leading 71st. You hear the description of home plate umpire Dan Iasanya, ball down. Iasanya, a guy that has worked in the postseason on many occasions, 2012 World Series, in fact. This ball's in the air to deep center field. Kiermaier going back, still going back. Looks like he'll have a play. And moving back to second after going halfway is LeMahieu. And you may be wondering at home, well, why doesn't he tag on that? You tag with nobody out. With one out, you're taught to go halfway or so.
You can even stand on third base if you want to with the ball hit out there. And the reason why you're not tagging up, unless you know for a fact that he's going to catch it and you have the opportunity to tag. Here's a ball, you think maybe it could hit off the wall. Worst case scenario, if the ball hits off the wall, you need to be able to score.
And the reason with nobody out, you go and tag is then you're at third with less than 2 outs. You can score on in a variety of ways. Fly ball if the infield remains back. Here's Cargo trying to pick off a 2-out Ribby. Ball is down 1-0 on Carlos. Cargo, how about what he's done in interleague play?
Unbelievable. He has no problem facing guys he's never seen before.
Cargo is batting .347 against the American League since 2011. Good eye. And this year he's hitting .550 against the AL. That is the best mark in baseball this year in interleague matchups. Rockies in the first, trailing 1-0. 2-0, hit hard, base hit, that'll get the run home. And Cargo is gunning for 2, and he is in there with a double. And he ties it at 1. Steven Souza has learned twice now with the wet grass and how low it's cut. Man, it's flying out there.
The ball is skipping, and when you look at Carlos Gonzalez, 2-0 count. Evan Longoria had a hitter's count. Cargo with the hitter's count. Drew Smiley this year, 341 with runners in scoring position. Left the pitch that was too meaty for Cargo, and you love the fact that as soon as Cargo hit the baseball, he was thinking to get to second, runner in scoring position. Fantastic side. See it on the Subaru Supermo, sliding away from Tim Beckham.
20th double as well for Cargo. And it's huge because now Story throws out a base hit. You take a lead. Take the extra base, something Walt Weiss and his staff have stressed since they took over 4 years ago. That's an important swing of the bat also, Spilly, because you have a guy all of a sudden who's got a fragile psyche on the mound.
He has a 6.02 ERA on the road.
That is a base hit. Cargo had to wait to make sure that it didn't hit him. Obviously with 2 outs, you're automatically going, but he would have run into the baseball.
And that part is unfortunate for Cargo. It's unfortunate for Trevor Story. It's unfortunate for the Rockies. You'd like to be able to get an extra RBI right there on a base hit. Trevor with a nice swing, and you can see Cargo has to freeze. Ball's hit right to his right.
You got a young catcher out there that just came up, Luke Maley. I think it's one of the underspoken about deals in baseball. You have a catcher and a pitcher working for the first time at this level. Sometimes the pitcher's not completely comfortable. You're trying to learn sequences, ball movement from a catcher standpoint. You know, a pitcher can shake all he wants. You can say at home and say, well, he's going to shake to the pitch he wants. Yeah, but there's pitch, there's location, there's also a tempo. And if he has to shake 3 times to get to the pitch he wants, he feels like his rhythm's off.
You can see pitchers get frustrated with catchers if the rhythm and timing isn't there. We haven't seen that yet, nor do we expect to see it. But for a young catcher, somebody that's been in the minor leagues for most of the year, you have to trust him to read swings, and for this being an interleague game, not a lot of video for the Rockies, even though we know the technology's there with the iPads and everything. You can see swings, but being on the field and reading a person's swing is completely different than watching it on video.
Two balls and a strike on Rayburn. You were working in the studio yesterday. How about the splits in Ryan Rayburn? He's had a really fine career. The first half, second half splits in Rayburn's tenure in the big leagues. 292 in the second half versus below 230 in the first half.
He's got to get him to the second half. I always had great splits in September. That was like my favorite month. Face guys that I faced in the minor leagues, and I get to hit them.
We're always trying to get you to September. First and third, 2 outs. And Rayburn fouls that offering off by Smiley. And once again, Maley goes to the mound. Fans at the Rockies score 7 runs or more. Go to participating Colorado Taco Bell locations the next day between 4 and 6 to get your Rockies taco special. Limas at Taco Bell. Man, great crowd tonight. And they endured a little rain delay early. Rock piles filled up. Hoping for the Rockies to go on a nice second half run. This is a big homestand. No denying that. Story takes off, and the throw to second's not going to get him. Fargo came down the line a few steps, read the throw.
It's going to be a straight steal for Trevor Story unless he looks back and it's going to, and he knows that they're going to try to pick it. Then you'll get into a rundown. Cargo's paid attention, saw the great jump that Trevor had. Wasn't going to take a chance.
Now it's 3 and 2 on Rayburn. Reynolds is on deck. The 24th pitch of the first frame for Smiley. Hard shot. What a pickup by Longoria. That just saved 2 runs. Longoria making like Nolan Arenado. Great play by the perennial all-star, but the Rockies get even on the Cargo double. 1-1 as we go to inning number 2 at Coors Field. Office Liquidators series storylines. Home field advantage. The Rays have struggled out on the road. They've lost 10 consecutive ball games. You're going to lose a lot of games in a row when you're 4 and 24 over your last 28. And Cargo now up to 561 in interleague play after that first inning double that scored a run. and the Corey story. Dickerson's first time at Coors Field since the January trade. Corey Dickerson, the reference, of course. And we got to visit with him before the ball game. Looks great. Not in the lineup tonight against the lefty. You'll see him before the next 2 games are done with, I'm sure. Candidate certainly to pinch hit later in this one. Dickerson has 13 home runs for Tampa, but has not hit for average. He's below 230. And the first pitch from Anderson to Steven Souza Jr. is in there for a strike. Sousa's a big, strong guy out of the Pacific Northwest. You know, the Rays are struggling. We just saw an Atlanta Braves team struggling. There's Corey Dickerson, affable young outfielder out of Mississippi. It's the 1-1, and that's a broken bat. So we're talking about the 2 clubs that, you know, have been hurting this year. Tampa's different from Atlanta for Kevin Cash in that, especially against right-handed pitching, when Dickerson's in that lineup, you know, Logan Morrison's in there tonight. They have some guys, you make a mistake, can hurt you. Atlanta's lineup's really pretty thin outside of Freddie Freeman.
Yeah, you look at this Tampa Bay Rays lineup versus that Braves lineup. They are completely different. And I was talking to Corey Dickerson, and he was mentioning about what it felt like to hit inside a dome. He said part of it took him a while because it's quiet. The backdrop, and at the Trop, it's a white dome. So it took him a while. There was an adjustment period, and he said the other part that was an adjustment. American League, they ran through a stretch of games where they faced Chris Sale, Quintana, Tanaka. They went through a list of pitchers that he said, wow, I hadn't seen this many pitchers in a row.
Yeah, some nasty guys that you don't have a book on.
Not a book at all, and the American League East is a pretty tough division. If you're going to get traded into a division as a DH, that's a pretty tough league to jump into.
It's a big boy division. 2-2, and another broken bat, and the bat ends up towards Story. The baseball secured in the glove of Arenado, and there's 1 out.
You ask any pitcher what their favorite thing to do on the mound besides strike someone out, blow up their bats, blow up the hitter's bats. You can see the ball cutting inside, and that's pretty far down the wood. Watch Nolan trying to get out of the way. Look out, Nolan. I bet you he was trying to barehand the bat.
He looked initially like the Karate Kid.
Miyagi-san is teaching him throwing bats at him?
Well, he was going to defend himself, and then he caught the baseball. There's a strike on Tim Beckham. How tough is this game, and how tough is it to project? This young man was the #1 pick in the draft back in 2008. High school kid out of Georgia, marvelous athlete. Tremendous upside, and he just hasn't been able to hit, Spilly, at the big league level.
It's tough. I watch his swing. He has a little bit of a leg kick, and when you're not playing, this is his first start since July the 7th. Being a young player, you'd like to get more and more at bats. When you have a leg kick, when you have a little bit of a bat waggle, for that player, it takes a lot of timing. There's been a lot of first rounders that have taken quite some time to find their niche at the major league level.
And Beckham bounces it to Story. And Drew throws out, or Trevor throws out, I should say. Tim Beckham, 2 outs. That'll bring up Luke Maile. Fans, join in on the conversation. Send us your thoughts, photos, questions. Use Twitter or Instagram, and make sure you include the hashtag Toyota Talk. And as always, we'll try to interact with you.
He does every night. He loves to have those socks pulled up.
Everything's a comfort level. Is it Chad Bettis? I'm trying to think if it was Chad who said this. I'm trying to remember who likes wearing the vest, the black vest, because his arm feels freer, the shoulder feels freer. So, you know, the starting pitcher is the one who makes the call on the uniform. Broken bat, roller to short. Story with time, with the catcher running, he's got him. 2 broken bats, 3 actually, because there's a foul ball. So a real strong inning for Tyler Anderson.
Great inning. He's probably chuckling the entire way to the dugout. At 1 in the bottom of the second. Live Rockies baseball is here with MLB.com. At bat on your smartphone or tablet. Stay connected with stats, news, and more. It looks nice down that first baseline, huh?
Really nice. Beautiful night now.
It's a gorgeous night. I was craving baseball since the All-Star break. I was stuck in the studio. I miss watching baseball, live baseball.
Jenny really appreciates that.
I enjoyed my time with Birthday Jenny, but Birthday Jenny, it's a week-long festival.
That's what we said. We're going to be celebrating for more than weeks. Outside on Mark Reynolds, trying to snap an 0 for 15.
Still her birthday.
Birthday Jenny.
Where's the tiara I got her?
Did you like the little sign we whipped together?
Yeah, you guys put a lot of effort into it.
Thank you. Appreciate that. It was like 30 seconds before we came on air.
Surprised it took that long.
2-1. Rockies got a run in the first off Drew Smiley. Double by LeMahieu with 1 out. And then Cargo smoked a hard ground ball between first and second that had so much velocity on it. He ended up producing a double. This is up the middle, base hit. And a lead single for Mark Reynolds to snap that 0 for 15. Here comes Hundo, Nick Hundley. I bet you if you go back and track this, Billy, and I know when you were playing for the Rockies, it felt this way. First game back off a road trip, even a short one, 3 games in Atlanta. Did it not seem like the Rockies always would put up a crooked number, or more often than not?
Right away, it felt like he's jumped on a team within 5 innings. And it was always, especially after All-Star break. And this week, when we were looking at some of the Rockies' records after All-Star break on the road, that was only their 2nd series that they've ever won starting off on the road after All-Star break.
Well, last year they went into the All-Star break sweeping a 4-game set against the Braves. Looked like, obviously everybody's feeling good. Can't wait to, get the break and then come out of it. And it didn't go so well out on that ensuing road trip. 4 hits already for Colorado against the struggling Drew Smyly. Smyly 1-7 with a 6.99 ERA, as we were chatting about, since the beginning of May. That will eventually go foul. In that time frame, only 2 pitchers in the American League have a higher ERA. Anibal Sanchez with Detroit has a 7.02 ERA since the beginning of May. And our old friend Ubaldo Jimenez has really struggled. Ubaldo has an ERA of 8.74 and was recently removed from Baltimore's rotation. He's now in their bullpen. Baltimore's doing great, but they're 28th in ERA among their starting pitchers. I wonder if they're going to be able to sustain the kind of success they've had for Buck Showalter.
They added their flamethrower Dylan Bundy to the starting rotation to push Ubaldo out of that rotation.
Bundy got beat this weekend in his first big league start. This ball's on the ground to short, and that'll be a 6-4-3.
Pitcher number 44,
Drew Smyly, he ended up modeling himself after Cliff Lee, a fellow Arkansas Razorback. Both guys have worked out with each other, and you would assume that over the time frame, with how difficult baseball has been for Drew Smyly, that you're assuming during this time, he's probably called Cliff Lee a couple times and said, "Hey man, can you help me out?"
Cliff Lee had that classic delivery. Here's our Mako big hit. Guess what we're going to reference back to? Before the break, second big league hit for Tyler Anderson. And he went yard. And it wasn't just any old home run. It's a huge hit in that game. Tied the game at 2.
That was against Zach Eichhoff, who was completely dominating the Rockies through the 5 2/3 of an inning. That home run totally changed up the complexion of that baseball game. So the last Rockies pitcher to hit a home run was Kyle Kendrick off Ian Kennedy, September 7th, 2015.
Here's the 1-2. It's a pretty good swing. I was kidding Tyler this afternoon. I called him Big Fly. And he said, "Oh, I don't know if that'll ever happen again." I said, "Don't tell yourself that. You may need it tonight. Never know."
You never know.
Never know when you got to play that card. It'll be a 1-2-3 inning for Drew Smyly. Did give up a base hit to Mark Reynolds, but a double play got him out of that. Rockies won and the Rays won. We go to the third inning. Rockies and Rays tied up, and Tyler Anderson completing his warm-up pitches. He'll see 9, 1, and 2. It'll be Drew Smyly, Logan Forsythe, and Kevin Kiermaier. So check this out. Lowest ERA by a Rockies rookie through 6 starts. Tyler Anderson owns the lowest ERA, and it's not close. 3.03, a half run better than Jason Jennings, former #1 out of Baylor. His start, Brian Ricard, Roger Bailey. By the way, Roger's going to join us tomorrow. He's going to take over our Twitter account. You hear from Roger. I wonder if he's going to do it from the golf course. That's where Roger lives and has lived for quite some time. Aaron Cook also on that list. I know this much. The guys have Tyler Anderson's back. They love when he's on the hill. One ball, one strike on Smyly.
You're looking at Tyler Anderson, you're wondering how has he been able to do it. You look at 4 starts at Coors Field and the numbers that he's put up. Well, number one, doesn't walk a lot of.
That's a tough play by Nolan, and he gets it across, kept it low, and got a great pick by Reynolds. And I think he was a little surprised because Drew Smyly was busting it up the line.
He was looking athletic running down the first baseline. He hits the ball opposite field to Nolan. Nolan with the unbelievable hands. Watch how he picks it on the backhand. It took a short, funny hop on him. He does. He looks up and he sees Smyly's flying down the line, and he's trying to keep the ball down for Mark Reynolds because, as we know, when the sun sets, starts setting, it gets in that first baseman's eyeballs.
It's a great job by Reynolds, man. That did not look easy. Shift is on for Logan Forsythe. He hit a fly ball to center field, leading off the ball game. 1 out after that nice play on both ends by Arenado and Reynolds. Forsythe's kind of rode the roller coaster offensively this year. He had a great start in April, 341. Hit just 200 in May, 307 in June, and so far in July he's hitting a .173. Talking to Evan Longoria about the Rays. He really likes the direction they're headed in. He likes their starting pitching. He mentioned Forsythe at second base, real solid player. Good pitch, and Tyler Anderson has his first strikeout. This is how sharp this kid is. Whatever he felt in that first inning, he's clearly made an adjustment.
And it looks to me like he's throwing his cutter a little bit more. You can see the cut fastball up and in, and that's the ability for Tyler Anderson to locate his pitches. He was trying to get that changeup in the first couple innings to work, and then once he started breaking some bats, Steven Souza was the batter. He broke 2 and 1 at bat. Start seeing a lot more cutters into the righties.
Kiermaier takes a strike. He worked out a walk on a 3-2 pitch in the first. It proved to be costly because Longoria, who's in the on-deck circle, he tripled to left center field. That's how Tampa scored their run. Changeups down low. There's the unquestioned leader of the Rays, the face of their organization for quite some time now, Evan Longoria. This miss, 2 and 1. I always say this, Billy, when we have an interleague series. Not everybody feels this way, but I enjoy it because you see some players and some talent that we see highlights of, but you don't get to see them up close. So I think it's neat. Tampa's in town. Excited about going to Baltimore next week. Obviously, already seen the Red Sox and the Yankees this year.
I was looking forward to seeing Kevin Kiermaier just because he's been almost the analytics darling as far as his defensive metrics go and the value he brings to the table. I want to see that defense here at Coors Field because this is the largest outfield in all baseball.
He just drew another walk. It's got to be frustrating for Anderson. Left on left, he doesn't walk many, and he's walked Kiermaier twice. And you don't want to deal with Longoria with traffic. This is what he did yesterday. He had 2 home runs yesterday. Pretty simple approach, doesn't he?
Just takes a step. No, not a lot. Some guys try to mimic it. It's really difficult. Look at those numbers. 8 of his 9 seasons in the major leagues, he's hit over 20 home runs. His rookie year, 2008, helped lead that Tampa Bay team to the World Series. They lost to the Philadelphia Phillies. And after the Rocks in 2007, with Tulo at short, Longo at third for the Rays the next year, I thought at some point it'd be the Rays-Rockies World Series.
I believe there were some people that predicted that in 2008, that you guys would match up with Tampa. Some of the winter prognostications had the Rays and Rockies playing in a World Series. Unfortunately, it didn't happen for the Rockies. Rays and Philly. 1-2, and that's a good pitch, and it'll be an easy play for Story. If you're counting, that's 4 broken bats by Tyler Anderson, so the walk in the 3rd of Kiermaier doesn't hurt him. 1-1, top of the order for the Rockies when we return.
Coors Field, top of the order. Nolan Arenado set to hit 3rd. Nolan, back in 2013, May 3rd to the 5th. First home series was against Tampa Bay. I asked him if he remembered it or if he even could.
Yeah, I mean, it went by pretty fast, but we were staying in some hotels with my mom and dad and my whole family, cousins and aunts and uncles, all in like a room and stuff like that, but it was a lot of fun.
The difficult part, but the good part was what he did against the Rays in that series when he went 6 for 14. He had 6 RBIs, a couple of doubles, a couple of homers. We're going to show you one after this pitch to Charlie Blackmon by Smiley, and that's taken for a ball. Look at this grand slam that he had. The first, of course, of his career, his 2nd home run off of David Price, then of the Rays. He had a huge series against Tampa Bay. And his first AB hit one to the wall, guys, so we'll see what he does in this 3-game set.
Well, you always like his chances, don't you?
Yeah, always.
2 strikes on Charlie Blackmon. Brought a 9-game hitting streak into the ballpark tonight. And guess what? He's now got another 10-game hitting streak. That's his 4th, you kidding me? 4th 10+ game hitting streak this year.
That's amazing. 4th 10-game hitting streak. This is not going to be a beautiful swing, I can tell you on the offset. This is just putting the baseball in play. Unbelievable. That takes a lot of ability. It takes your head not moving that much and trusting your hands.
Well, the Rockies,
it's like Ichiro.
Yeah, the Rockies have 3 other guys with 10+ game hitting streaks. Cargo had an 11-gamer. DJ was at the plate, had an 11-gamer. Arenado, we were just speaking about him, had a 12-gamer. There's a good-looking bunt that's going to go foul. That's something Huey always taught when he was an instructor at the Cubs organization. He talks a lot about it. If you're gonna lay down a bunt for a hit when you don't have a strike on you, be really fine with it.
Sure, yeah, we always say fair or foul. Just put it right down that third baseline. You don't want to waste a good pitch to bunt by bunting it foul, but you don't want to bunt a ball too hard where it's right to the third baseman. And granted, this is the new version of small ball for the Rockies. When they do decide to bunt, it's for a hit.
So 1 strike on LeMahieu. Charlie leading off with a knock. 1-1 game. Rockies hitting in their half of the 3rd. Drew Goodman, Ryan Spilborghs, Mark Stout, our Root Sports crew. That pitch from Smiley's inside.
It was interesting watching Nolan's home run off David Price, and he was talking about the degrees of separation, how everything in this game is intertwined. Drew Smiley traded in the David Price deal from Detroit. Already mentioned that earlier.
This ball crushed, fair or foul, foul ball.
Smiley's used to giving up the home run. 20 home runs allowed so far. That's 7th most in the major league. Chris Young leads all of baseball with 26 home runs. And you'll see DJ pull baseballs when it's off speed. Baseball had a bit of a tail and hooks into the foul, right down the left field foul line. Makes it really difficult for a pitcher when you see a batter like DJ. He spoiled your fastball, hit it for a double down the right field line, and just pulled your best off-speed pitch way foul.
Blackmon quickly sets his lead once again. 1-2 on LeMahieu. This ball lined toward the gap in right center field. Kiermaier makes a great catch, and it's going to be a double play. Blackmon's read was that was going to drop, and Kiermaier was shaded heavily toward right center field. He may have hurt his hand on that catch. It hit his chest.
I think he caught it off his body.
Laughing about it now, but he's going to have laces on his chest.
DJ smokes this ball to right center field. You can see the jump of Kiermaier. A great first step for a center fielder. Oh, and it squares him up right below the A on the Rays. And not much Charlie can do.
2 outs, and that'll bring Nolan up. Hit the ball to Kiermaier's first time up close to the wall in center field.
Kiermaier's still rubbing his chest in center field. He's rubbing his left wrist. May be out, but that hurt.
And he's not going to catch this one. We've seen Nolan do that more and more of late, Spilly. serve a ball to right field, right center field, not try to pull a pitch on the outer third of the plate.
There's just so many hits to right field, and it allows your swing path to just be more in plane when you're able to use the opposite field.
He's now with that base hit, hitting over 300 against lefties this year, and a solid 286 against righties. Speaking of hitting lefties, Cargo's getting close to 260 this year against lefties. A year ago, he hit just a .195 against left-handed pitching. He smoked a double his first time up to drive in the Rockies' only run. It was his 56th RBI. How many guys can hit it in the 3.5 hole and get a double?
Not many. Right off the bat, Cargo was trying. He was looking for it just based on where Steven Souza was in right field. He knew that if he hit a ball down that 3.5 hole, that he would have a chance to be standing on second.
Off the plate, 1-1. 6 hits for the Rockies, just 1 for Tampa, but we're tied at 1.
And those numbers for Cargo hitting so well against left-handers, it's all tied to the fact that this year he has 42 hits to left field, opposite field hits.
Let that ball travel. You liked the approach there, didn't you?
I love that approach, and look at the numbers. He's not straight pulling the baseball. We saw it last year early in the season when he didn't have his knee feeling completely healthy, where he wasn't able to sit back, pulling the ball consistently to second base. How many 4-3s did you see? Thousands of them. This year, with the health that he has, he's able to sit back, use his hands, drive the ball opposite field.
Nolan takes off, and it's a high throw, and Ricky Henderson has a bag. Tell you what, the Rockies come out on top tonight. I don't care what Nolan does the rest of the evening. That's what he's going to talk about.
And he should. He had a great jump at first base. High throw. Got in there easy.
It's his second stolen base of the year. Big one, though. Cargo throws out a base hit. In all likelihood, you get a run. Not this time. Foul tip, and it's held by Maley. Rockies had 2 hits. They leave a man. It's 1-1 going to the 4th. Colorado Rockies baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Subaru. Love is what makes a Subaru. And by CenturyLink, your link to what's next. Rockies home for a week of baseball. First of 3 against the Rays. 1-1 as we go to the fourth inning. I want to correct something, by the way. I said Charlie Blackmon, that was with that hit. He has a 10-game hitting streak. That's very accurate. I said it's his fourth 10-plus game hitting streak of the year. That actually made it his third 10-plus game hitting streak of the year, but that's still very, very impressive. The Rockies have 6 altogether of hitting streaks reaching double figures, and Charlie has half of them. Pretty good for a guy that missed some time with turf toe back in April. Brandon Guyer batting cleanup for the Rays tonight. Logan Morrison and Steven Souza Jr. to face Tyler Anderson. Guyer takes down low. What's going on here? They say the ball, when it's skipped, hit Guyer. That's one of the things he's known for. This kid gets hit a ton.
20 hit by pitches in the first half.
Fans, the play is under review.
It did hit him.
Did hit him.
Yep. Is brought to you by Brakes Plus. Stop into your
And they say he leans in.
all your automotive needs. Also visit brakesplus.com for special offers.
He definitely, it hit the pant leg. $19 of his 24 hit by pitches last year came against lefties. That's the most by any big league player since splits were first available in 1914. It's interesting what some guys get known for, and honestly, this is something, when we were doing some of our homework on the Rays, talking to guys in their organization, when I asked about Guyer, it was one of the first things that we were told about him. And you know who told me about Guyer? Jake McGee, because of course McGee played with him. McGee came from Tampa after all those years, and he said, yeah, Guyer's a really good outfielder. He said he gets hit all the time. It's amazing. Well, he just bought himself first base.
That's the 21st time he's been hit by a pitch. The AL record, Groove in 1986. Don Baylor with 35. That must have hurt.
I guarantee you Groove never rubbed, though.
Well, Guyer's not going to rub his pant leg on that one. That one shouldn't count.
That's a freebie. Here's Logan Morrison. Say what, Guyer got his feet tangled up. It's almost if Tyler Anderson, I said, all right,
fine,
we're going to play that game. I'm going to get you at first. Morrison hit a fly ball to left to end the first inning. One to no. Morrison hitting just .206 over his last 36 games.
Bring your groups to Coors Field and receive discounted pricing, scoreboard recognition, and other great benefits. Call today for more information.
One on Morrison, and 1-2.
gives Tyler Anderson the fastball up in the zone again, or an off-speed pitch.
There's a changeup. You saw the sign from Hundley. Missed inside. 2-2. Please watch. First place the eyes will go for a catcher is to the hitter to make sure he's not creatively trying to steal a sign. Nick looks up there, now flashes fastball away. That was shaken off. Wants the fastball in, shook off the changeup also. And they stay with it. Missed at 91, 3-2. Geyer studying Charlie Montoyo, the third base coach, see if they want to put him in motion. Not going, and it's a double play ball. Safe at first. Little bit of a bobble on that hard hit ball by DJ that prevented the Rockies from turning it over. So Morrison will trade places with Geyer. Souza will come up.
Look at Tyler Anderson, does a great job. First off, freezing Geyer at first with the 3-2 count. You'd see DJ having a little trouble on the baseball that was hit very hard off the bat. Trevor Story putting a little extra on this one to try to get him out at first.
Here's Steven Souza. He had his bat broken his first time up on a little sandwich to Nolan. And this is in the air to Carr going right. Two outs, and that'll bring up Tim Beckham. Beckham's first at bat ended in a two-hopper to short.
Got him.
Mark Reynolds looking toward the dugout.
You know what Logan was doing? It's a great move, and it's a little hiccup. Logan might have been able to get to the back of the bag.
One strike on Beckham.
Some other noticeable names in the 2008 draft when he was drafted first overall. Buster Posey.
Good player.
Pretty decent player. Justin Smoke. 11th rounder for the Rangers. Just signed a multi-year contract with.
Just got a nice extension.
Eric Hosmer, 3rd overall pick for the Kansas City Royals.
Ground ball to third on the backhand. Nolan's got to go quick, and he will. He'll get Beckham by a couple of steps. A couple of good backhand plays tonight by the Gold Glover Nolan Arenado. Tyler Anderson in a good groove now. Middle of 4. Rockies 1 and the Rays 1. this week's CenturyLink High-Speed Challenge question. We want to know which Rockies pitcher has the highest average fastball velocity. Carlos Estevez, Miguel Castro, currently down in Albuquerque. John Gray, who pitched brilliantly yesterday. 7 shutout innings over 115 pitches. Go to @RootsSports_RM to vote. Turned into a very pretty night in the Mile High City. Love that clock atop Coors Field. So here we go in the bottom of the 4th. Trevor Story will lead things off, and he takes high ball 1 from Drew Smiley, a product of the University of Arkansas. He's at a Little Rock. All those moms and dads out there, more importantly for all the kids who play the game, and maybe they aren't the early grow guys that are beasts early. Drew Smiley was 150 pounds when he graduated high school. Didn't have an offer from anybody. Had a good arm. And he went to a camp at the University of Arkansas, and they liked what they saw enough to give him some money. He went there, and a couple years later, he almost threw the first no-hitter in the College World Series. He was into the 9th inning with a no-hitter against the University of Oklahoma. He settled for 8 1/3 as he gave up a hit with 1 out in the 9th. 3-1 on Story. He had a base hit his first time, and that catches the strike zone. That wasn't in the World Series, actually in the regionals against Oklahoma.
Still counts.
That counts. And there's a leadoff walk. So Story, who had a stolen base in the 1st inning, jogs down to first to be greeted by Eric Young, and that'll bring up Ryan Rayburn. Rayburn almost gave the Rockies a 3-1 lead in the 1st. He hit an absolute missile to 3rd. Somehow Evan Longoria came up with it. It was a great play by Longoria. First walk allowed tonight by Smiley.
What were the numbers you were telling me about the second half for Ryan Rayburn?
292 in his career in the second half. In the first half, 228. It's one of the biggest disparities I've seen. And true to form, he's come out on fire in the second half. Everything he's hit has been barreled. In fact, only Chris Coghlan, the former Rookie of the Year with the Marlins, has a bigger disparity among active players. Splits between first half and second half. Rayburn's got an offensive count here, 2-0.
Missed again.
Now it's 3-0. Got to take a strike here.
Sometimes you'll look down to the third base coach and they'll give you the green light. And the reason being, they think if you're willing to swing 0-0, why can't you swing 3-0? And get people, hey, what are you talking about? You always have to take 3-0. Sometimes you'll look down there and you trust your hitter that if he's willing to swing 0-0, it's not a big difference mentally to go ahead and swing 3-0.
Well, the reason I said it was that he had just walked a guy, and he had missed on a number of pitches already. So in a 1-1 game, put some more heat on him, and this is where it gets difficult for pitchers who are new to Coors Field. Start creating traffic, and typically does not work out well. Jim Hickey goes to the mound. He's the pitching coach naturally for Tampa. Let's take a look at the rest of the Rays staff. Kevin Cash is the youngest manager at 38 in baseball. Derek Shelton is his hitting coach. You mentioned Hickey. What a good player Rocco Baldelli was. And I know he's a friend of yours. Baldelli unfortunately had his career cut short. But what a marvelous talent. Charlie Montoyo, Tom Foley, former teammate of Jeff Houston's, and Stan Borowski's down in the bullpen.
I love Rocco Baldelli, and when you look at Rocco was the youngest coach in baseball several years ago at 33 years old. You mentioned his career cut short, had injuries where he was just tired. I don't know what the name of if it was a disease or what it was called, but he could never stay on the field because his body just couldn't recover.
Yeah, he battled constant fatigue, and I'm not doing a good job also helping you out remembering exactly what that malady is called.
Rocco ended up third in the American League in 2003 and Rookie of the Year. He was some kind of athlete.
I remember Dan O'Dowd being very much enamored with Baldelli and seeing if there was a way he could acquire him. And now it's 2-0 on Mark Reynolds. Mark had a base hit up the middle.
And at the time, I don't know if you remember, but in 2003, when Baldelli was drafted, there was a lot of clamoring behind what kind of athlete he was because he was so good at volleyball.
This is out of play.
When we talk about players being so specialized in just baseball, he was one of the rare throwbacks that was playing multiple sports. And so there was concern when he came out from the back east that here's a guy that, hey, maybe he hasn't played that much baseball. And he wasn't specialized enough in playing the game that he wasn't going to be as good. Are you going to try to say this word?
Well, I'm going to give it a whirl here in a sec. I've heard it said before. Mitochondrial syndrome. I hope I pronounced that right. 2-1. And it's inside 3-1 on Reynolds. So right now, Smiley is a pitch away from walking the bases loaded. And Cunley's on deck. And it's smoked to center field. It'll get down. Good read by Story. He'll come around to score. And moving to third base is Rayburn. 2-1 Colorado. Mark Reynolds coming through.
Saw Tyler Anderson get her with the walk in the first inning. Now Drew Smiley's learning that you cannot walk batters at Coors Field. Reynolds in a 3-1 count gets a pitch that he can handle, and Trevor Story at second base. Unbelievable jump. This ball is hit hard. There was a chance with Kevin Kiermaier out in center field. No, it looks like he's not going to be able to catch it. He was pretty close. It was a one hop to him. It made it close at home plate.
Here's Hundley. Nick sitting on 20 RBIs. He grounded into a 6.43 his first time up. Against lefties this year, he's hitting a notch over 300 at 302. Called strike. A little late.
Nick asking if that pitch is in. You can see on the Subaru strike zone.
You know, Smiley has just 2 strikeouts tonight, but he's a guy that's striking out better than a hitter an inning. And he's known for a great curveball. It's been eliminated tonight. Haven't seen it.
Haven't seen it at all.
Do you think he just went in and said, well, you can't throw curveballs at Coors Field?
That's not true.
Well, I know, but I mean, he's unfamiliar with pitching here.
He is unfamiliar, and that's a common misnomer, is that you cannot throw a curveball at Coors Field. You can, you just have to set your sights lower. When a pitcher is, especially with the curveball, he's expecting to throw it at a certain part. Oftentimes you'll see a pitcher aim at a body part, an elbow of a hitter. And at Coors Field, you just have to change your eyesight. Instead of aiming at the elbow, you aim at the hip. James Shields last year was another pitcher that came in and figured it out. Said, you know what, I'll just change my eyesight.
This is going to be close. Hoping for a place. Morrison, he ran over 6 people, still couldn't get to the baseball. Logan's big enough that he feels like maybe he could move the cement.
He probably could.
Two runs, 7 hits already for the Rockies. A run on just 1 hit for the Rays against Tyler Anderson. Rockies leading 2-1, bottom of 4. Chance to have a special inning. This ball's going to get a run home, maybe more. Deep center field. And come on down, Ryan Rayburn with the Rockies' 3rd run. Really good at bat for Nick Hundley, considering he all of a sudden found himself in an 0-2 count. Well done, Nick Hundley. 3-1 Rockies.
All you're trying to do is put the ball in play. And for Nick, he gets a pitch that he can handle. Nice, easy swing. Kept the hands inside. Not great location by Smiley. Nick Hundley thanks you for that pitch.
Tyler Anderson with 1 out. Likely he'll be bunting, but you never know. Especially Walt really likes the slug bunt. It's a strike. You offered at it. So, you know, a moment ago we were talking about Rocco Baldelli. He's one of 2 kids ever out of the state of Rhode Island to be drafted in the 1st round. Billy Allman, good big league player back in the 70s, and we got a text from our buddy Corey Sullivan. Corey proudly put, he goes, guess who hosted him on his recruiting trip to Wake Forest? So it's obviously Corey Sullivan. Well, Corey, nice job. He decided to sign. This is going to turn into, well, it's not going to turn into double play because Logan Morrison had crashed on the bunt attempt, and then he brought it back, and he couldn't get to the bag in time. So Tyler Anderson just hits into a 6-4 force out.
See Logan Morrison crashing down the first baseline as soon as he sees the ball being hit. Tries to sprint back to first base and obviously cannot make it back in time. Doug handed me an interesting number, Drew. With that sac fly from Nick Hundley, that is 16 sacrifice flies for the Colorado Rockies. Do you think that's a lot or a little?
This is game number 92. I would say that's not a lot.
It is dead last in the major leagues. That number kind of surprised me.
By the way, Corey just followed up. He said he played the same position. They're both center fielders. He said, I did a good job of keeping them away. Nice job, Corey. Inside on Charlie Blackmon. Charlie with a soft single left to improve his hitting streak to 10 games. Third 10-plus game hitting streak this year for Blackmon. Rifled foul. Do you have anybody that came to visit, went somewhere else, became a prominent player?
No, not at UCSB. Most people that go on a recruiting trip to UCSB, they stay at UCSB.
Just take them out to the water and say, here you go?
No. Go out to Campbell Hall at noon. Campbell Hall is the center of UC Santa Barbara, and most students travel on bike at UCSB, and Santa Barbara being by the ocean, and you know what people wear when you live by the ocean. Once you're an 18-year-old and you watch all these people riding their bikes by.
I think you've created a nice image in most people's minds.
There you go. Don't be late.
Do we have eligibility left?
It's usually the recruiting statement is, meet me at Campbell Hall at noon and do not be late.
That's great. Two and two on Blackmon. Anderson at first, 2 runs in the fourth. And Bob Davidson said he went around. Blackmon walking away, chewing on Bob a little bit. In the inning, the Rockies took advantage of a couple of walks to begin the frame. Reynolds had a base hit, sac fly from Nick Hundley. 3-1 going to the fifth. Rockies up 3-1 as we go to the fifth inning. Glad you're along with us on Root Sports each and every night. Drew Goodman with Ryan Spilborg, Mark Stout. Day after every Rockies victory, get 50% off your online order at Papa John's. Use the promo code ROCKSWIN at papajohns.com. Luke Bailey's going to lead it off, the catcher, and then it's Drew Smiley in the top of the order to face Tyler Anderson. A run on 1 hit allowed so far by former Oregon product, #1 pick of the Rockies. I don't like the makings of this Rockies rotation right now, Spilly, with John Gray, and we've talked a lot about what John did yesterday. 7 shutout innings, 115 pitches, and he didn't have early on the nasty slider. He had a great changeup. He had a terrific curveball. He utilized that. And then, of course, you know, he'd find 96, 97 miles an hour whenever he wanted. You have Chad Bettis, another guy that really cerebral, like Tyler Anderson. Tyler Chatwood and the stuff he has, and of course, you know, the longtime vet, the guy who will go for his 100th career victory in his next outing, Jorge De La Rosa. Here's some of the work yesterday from Big John.
I think what's important is when you're watching John and Chad and De La Rosa, it's using the fastball command and then using their secondary pitches. Great pitch again by Tyler Anderson to get the strikeout. For John, it was the curveball, and remember, he just picked the curveball up in spring training. And the very first time he threw the pitch at Coors Field, what happened? Home run to dead center field with Seager hitting it. And so over time, you look at the numbers, you can go to any of his game logs and check out how he's thrown pitches. Over the course of time, that curveball has now become a more prominent pitch for him.
Think about when he faces the Braves, which will be his next outing. And whatever the scouting report they had going in, they're going to have to discard it because they just saw him and they're like, okay, man, he threw a bunch of changeups, all for strikes, it seemed like. He had a plus curveball, as you were talking about. Here's the 0-1 on Smiley. That's in 1-1. And you're talking about a guy who could throw in the upper 90s and sit in the upper 90s. One of the hardest throwers in baseball among starting pitchers. The average is better than 95 miles an hour. He is really coming into his own. This is to shallow left, and Rayburn's over there. 2 outs.
I think looking at John Gray's season and the one start that stood out the most for me, I think probably where he learned the most was the start after St. Louis. He never once used his changeup in St. Louis. The next start in Boston, got beat up a little bit. First inning, Big Papi hits a home run. Starts using his secondary pitches to steal strikes. 2-1 count, slider. 1-0 count, changeup. He wasn't becoming predictable anymore.
I just love the quotes you get from him after games now, and then you juxtapose them against what we heard late last year. Remember, you could tell he was frustrated by Coors Field late last year. He said, you know, I'm still trying to figure out how to pitch here.
I know it.
And he was honest. Now, after the game yesterday, he said there was no way I was going to allow this guy to reach. There was no way and I didn't want to come out. I'm not coming out. I'm going to finish that 7th inning. It's a guy that's mentality is different, maturity level's different, and certainly the confidence level's different.
And it's rubbing off on all of these guys. You look at Tyler Chatwood, Tyler Anderson tonight gets one more out. That's 7 straight games with 5+ innings.
But here's the deal, and we touched on it, Spilly, off the top of the broadcast. It's 1-2 on Logan Forsythe. The Rockies with a ERA among their starters of under 3.5, 3.46 in the month of July. Man, you got to take advantage of that, and they haven't so far. They're 5-8. So that's the next step.
And that's the part that's so, for Rockies fans and players, hey, you know, this team would be a lot better if the starting pitching was better. For the last 2 years, the starting pitching was last in baseball in every single category. Now you're looking at the staff from really June the 1st. One of the top 5 rotations in baseball. The rotation's there for you. Now it's time to start winning some games.
6 in a row set down. That's the 3rd strikeout for Tyler Anderson. We go to the bottom of the 5th. The Rockies in charge 3-1. Greater coverage of baseball brought to you by T-Mobile. Second baseman, that used to be an all-defensive position, basically, right? Not anymore. Look at this. Daniel Murphy, maybe the leading candidate for the National League MVP. He's hitting .350. Jose Altuve, he may be the leading candidate or one of them in the American League at .346. And DJ LeMahieu quietly having a gorgeous year. He's at .331. DJ will lead it off here. He doubled in the first and scored, and then hit a ball on a line to right center field that looked like it was going to be another double, and he was actually right in the tracks of Kiermaier, and he made the catch by bouncing it off of his sternum into his glove, and then he doubled up Charlie Blackmon, who was at first.
Off his wrist, off his sternum, double play.
And this is a great center fielder. That wasn't Kiermaier making a play, it was the fact that he was positioned perfectly. And this is popped up in the infield. Forsythe waiting, and Logan Forsythe makes the catch, 1 out.
One of the things I've already noticed, and I really enjoy watching with Kevin Kiermaier in center field, plays probably the most shallow center field I've ever seen a visiting player. A lot of times you'd see these guys take about 4 more steps deeper. No, keep going, almost to the warning track. Well, Kiermaier, you'll see it move, especially for Nolan. That seems like it's pretty deep. Most center fielders will play deeper than that.
Well, Souza has followed the pattern you normally see from visitors. He's out in right center field, and his back's almost scraping the .375 mark. Nolan had a base hit toward right center his last time. He gets just underneath this. It's a towering fly ball to Geyer in left, 2 outs. Two outs, and that'll bring up Cargo. Stroked an RBI double in the first, struck out swinging in the third.
Smiley is hung in there. He's been on the ropes for majority of the night. And coming off with the ERA over 6. 0-6 in his last 9 starts. At Coors Field, he's battled, he's grinded through the fact that he has no curveball. He's working primarily fastball, cutter, slider.
Here's the 1-0. And Cargo lobs this one to shallow center, and it'll drop. His second hit of the night. That will allow Trevor Story to hit here in the 5th inning. Trevor a single, stole a base, and also a walk, and scored in the 4th.
The MLB.com app has the last ball Carlos Gonzalez hit. Normally we talk about how hard he hits the baseball. 70 miles an hour.
See with Jamie Moyer out there.
It's nice.
So you didn't play first base, you were an outfielder. But
I played first in Japan.
Did you?
Yeah. I really did. To get me on the field, I would play first base.
And they got mad at you for that one mistake you made in right field?
Yeah.
Got banished to first base? 1-0 on Story.
If I get time, I will tell you the most embarrassing moment I've ever experienced on a baseball field was in Japan. I was playing first base and the minor leagues, and you know it's an all dirt infield. I'll send a tweet out and I'll show you a picture of what this dirt infield. Well, Japanese people typically never laugh at anything that goes on a baseball field. and a left-handed batter, I'm standing on first, hits a one hop that takes a bad hop off the dirt, hits me in the chest. I go flying, hat flies off because I knocked my hat off. I'm wearing sunglasses, glasses go flying, my glove goes flying. I pick up the baseball and I throw it to the first base, and all my stuff is scattered all over the infield. Their entire dugout is standing right by the first baseline, crying, laughing. My entire dugout is standing by the first base, the third baseline, crying, laughing. And that's when I decided I don't want to play baseball anymore.
That was it? That was the end of it?
It's like I've had enough.
Well, the reason I brought it up is that Cargo's one of those guys for first baseman you like when he comes to visit. You can get, you're going to get a friendly guy who's going to engage in conversation.
Sure.
Story takes that one high, 2-1.
And you're right. In Japan, when I was playing first base, there was no communication for me whatsoever. Just standing at first base, and I always wanted to come to the mound when the pitcher and manager and the catchers talk. I couldn't understand a word that was going on.
You just hung out at first base, huh?
Yeah, I just stood at first.
Story drives it high in deep left field. Take a good look. You won't see it for long. Two-run home run. Trevor Story, number 22.
21 home runs now given up by Drew Smyly. We're waiting for a home run tonight. Trevor Story, great swing in the first at bat. Line drive hard up the middle. Does not miss this pitch. There's a changeup up in the zone. And we mentioned Drew Smyly cannot use the curveball here for some reason. He has not been throwing it. He's relying on secondary pitches that I don't think he feels comfortable throwing. That ball just got hit a mile.
The thing you love about it is it came with 2 outs. He is some kind of strong. 5-1 Rockies. Rayburn takes high. 1 ball, 1 strike. More home runs than any shortstop in baseball.
I love the finish. Finished on his backside. Watch the barrel get through the baseball. Now he's starting to get that finish where you see a guy after he knows he gets it, has a little bit of style behind it.
Swung on a miss, 2-2 on Rayburn. The Rockies' rookie record for home runs, barring the unforeseen, is going to get shattered by Story. Willeen Rosario hit 28 in 2012. Todd Helton hit 25 in his rookie season in '98. Story has 22 right now. One of the guys he looked up to, a guy he's worked out with quite a bit, as most of you know. Troy Tulowitzki hit 24 in the Rockies World Series season. Tulo's first in the big leagues, '07. And this is a high fly ball to pretty deep center field, but Kiermaier is going to make the play. A 2-out single by Cargo, and then Trevor Story with a 417-foot home run. The Rockies expand their lead. It's 5-1 as we go to the 6th.
Won 417 feet, a 2-run shot. Rocks up 5-1 as we go to the 6th. I hope you watched the Rockies pregame report today where we talked about Trevor Story and his power, and I asked him what generates his power. Here's what he said.
I have a little movement in my hands to get some power with, you know, a little abbreviated leg kick, but I think most of it comes just from hand speed and bat speed for me.
We continue to that. The pitcher helps you too with what they throw. Spilly, how did you generate power?
Well, I always believe that. I don't have the same bat speed that Trevor Story ever had, but most of your power starts with your legs. Obviously, he talks about his hands creating it, but you have to keep your hands nice and loose.
It's going to be a tough play. Kiermaier can run, and it's going to be an infield hit. Anderson did everything he could, and now you're going to check whether he was in the 45-foot box or not running up the line. Nick Hundley asking home plate umpire Dan Iasanya. Yeah, he's in the box.
Yeah, he's fine. He may have been asking about his elbow.
Third baseman number 3 is Longoria.
Second hit, that's it. Allowed by Anderson. First hit since the first inning. The triple by Longoria, who's standing at the plate right now. Longoria hit a broken bat flare to second. His next at bat, that's on the outside corner. Change up for a strike. Nick keeps it right in front of him. It's a blocking drill that you do a ton of in spring training. Not only blocking the baseball, but blocking it. You have a little 3-foot circle in front of you. So in theory, if you block it right there, you can pick it up with your hand. Nobody's going to be able to advance. Try not to have the pitch back blocks, the ones that ricochet off you and go about 15 feet.
So you'll hear catchers talking about almost using their shoulders and hunching over to create almost a pocket so your body's not hard and stiff so the ball can't shoot off of it.
'76 pitches in, a good number here in the 6th inning for Tyler Anderson. Has a real misleading 1-3 record with an ERA. With his work tonight, it's moving below 3. Eddie Romero is up in the bullpen for Tampa because Spilly's thrown 100 darts in 5 innings.
Especially after that last inning, giving up the home run to Trevor Story. Just feeling like Smiley was hanging on the ropes for a majority of the game and found a way to manage through 5 innings.
The Rockies have scored in 3 of the 5 innings, a run in the first, 2 in the 4th, 2 more on the Story home run in the 5th. The ERA right now for Tyler Anderson, 2.88. 2-2 on Longoria. Ground ball to short. Story had trouble getting it out of his glove. That's twice tonight. Once with DJ and now once with Trevor, where the Rockies lost an opportunity perhaps to turn a double play. One gone. That'll bring up Brandon Guyer.
The only knock on Trevor Story so far has been the ability or inability to turn that baseball into a double play. And when you watch him, you can see it takes a little bit of time for him to find the baseball in the glove. We've seen it numerous times where he's trying to find the baseball and double clutches. Over time, he'll get smoother.
Well, get another opportunity here. That's better. And a better result, 6-4-3. Tyler Anderson, man, he's a machine. Allowed just 2 hits through 6 innings. His club's out in front 5-1. Colorado Rockies baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. Hustle and bustle of Lodo in our beautiful city. The Rockies leading Tampa Bay 5-1. And a new pitcher for the Rays. It is Yanni Romero, one of 2 left-handers that they have in their bullpen. Their bullpen's been in a better place of late, but their bullpen overall has not had a good year. The ERA of Romero reflects that. The league hitting .264 against him. High walk total also, 17 and 28 2/3. Thus a whip of 1.6.
Yeah, but this is the guy that has the highest velocity coming out of the bullpen. Averages 97 miles an hour.
Mark Reynolds had a nice ball game. He's 2 for 2. He's driven in a run after entering the ballpark tonight on a little 0 for 15 slide. One and one. Rockies had hits in every inning against Drew Smyly. Smyly gave up 5 runs, all of them earned on 9 hits in 5 innings. He walked 2 and struck out 3. And good eye, 2 and 2.
Fastball, slider, curveball for Romero. And as a player, you don't get to see these pitchers too often. The only pitch you're looking for is a fastball.
Those fans have had a couple opportunities tonight.
They've had plenty. Hopefully they got a couple baseballs tonight. Have you ever caught a foul ball as a fan at a game?
I don't think so, no.
I did one time at an Angels baseball game.
Did you?
Yeah.
How old were you?
18.
This ball's lasered up the middle. That is a great play by Logan Forsythe. Mark Reynolds going to be frustrated. Can't hit it much harder than that.
That's a hit for as long as you've played baseball. You nearly take Romero's head off by lining it right up the middle. What are you doing there? That's the reaction of Mark Reynolds.
This is off his bat at about 110.
Why are you standing there? This guy throws 98.
They're pretty good at this level, aren't they? This is routine now. Forsythe will throw out Nick Hundley. Tyler Anderson about to get announced. Should get a really nice round of applause. Got his team out in front 5-1. Anderson 0 for 2. Crowd wants to see a bomb. So we didn't just come to see you pitch.
Well, Tyler's probably thinking to himself, you know what, fans, come another game because this guy's a lefty on lefty that throws 98, and I'm not sure where this baseball is going.
And I like how he plays, man. He was all out coming up the line. He waved at Andy Romero because he was close to spiking him, letting him know nothing intentional. All about the pictures tonight, and the pictures paint a story that has the Rockies leading 5-1 behind Trevor Story and his 2-run home run. That is our Cooney Lexus look back as we go to the 7th inning.
How much do you enjoy watching Tyler Anderson? I thoroughly enjoy baseball. You know that. And I don't care who's playing. I enjoy watching any team. But it is a pleasure to watch Tyler Anderson work at the major league level.
And it's another example that we, and I include myself in this, we get caught up in the sex appeal of velocity.
Sure.
And it is a big part of today's game, make no mistake. And it's fun to watch John Gray blow 97, 98 in the 7th inning. An absolute blast. You go, man, catch it if you can. But this guy's an artist on the mound, and it's not like he's a soft tosser. I mean,
no.
He can go and get 92, 93 when he wants, but he's so sharp. He is so convicted in every pitch he throws, and he is so well prepared. And this is now 7 outstanding starts back to back. He's going to have a hiccup in there.
Sure,
they all do.
yes,
Kershaw gives
do.
up runs once in a while. Bumgarner the other day.
It happens, but in today's game, this game specifically, Tyler Anderson did not have his changeup. Not yet. And he had to use his cutter inside. Start using his slider more. And his ability to adapt between pitches, between batters, that's what impresses me, and the fact that he's able to elevate up in the zone with the fastball. That is such a difficult thing for some pitchers to do, is locate the fastball right above the belt, entice a hitter, and then come right back off of it with the changeup.
Logan Morrison is 0 for 2. Here's the 1-0, and he swings and misses. Let me ask you this honestly. First inning, he had thrown more balls than strikes. A run was already in. If I told you we're going to fast forward to the 7th inning, and he'll have only given up that 1 run and 1 more hit, which was an infield hit, what would you have said?
I'd say you're begging for tonight. Doesn't have his good stuff tonight.
There's no way that's happening.
Based on the first inning.
And here we are in the 7th inning. He's allowed 2 hits. The triple by Longoria that scored a run after walking Kiermaier, and a dribbler up the first base line last inning by Kiermaier. That's it. Rockies lead at 5-1. Walt Weiss is big on saying that you can tell how effective a pitcher is by the swings of the opponent. How often are they barreling it? How often do they look off balance, out front, tardy, uncomfortable? And that's what you get against Tyler Anderson. I mean, case in point, that the 2 swings in this sequence by Logan Morrison. And here's the 2-2. 3-2. Four through 9 in the lineup for Tampa. Does not have a hit. One guy has reached. It's Geyer. He reached on hit by pitch, and now Logan Morrison reaches on a walk. 3rd walk allowed by Tyler Anderson, and that'll bring up Souza. Oh, you know what we dragged out of the archives? This is Phillies Field in Japan.
This is where the yard sale occurred, is right over there. That is first base, by the way. Yep, that little itty bitty glob. And that's the tarp. It was raining. They tarped the field. For real. That's the tarp. Yeah, it was raining. They tarp home plate.
That's it?
That's it. That was the field I spent a lot of my time on my last year playing baseball.
0-2 on Souza. Okay then. How the mighty have fallen.
Yep. Low-hanging fruit.
Ground ball to 3rd, fair ball, and a great feed to get the lead runner by Arenado. So LeMahieu 1 out.
The Rockies Wives will be collecting school supplies to benefit area schools at all gates before the July 23rd game. Cash donations are also accepted.
Here's Tim Beckham. Ground ball to short, ground ball to 3rd. Next pitch will be number 90 tonight. And that ball's in the air, right center field. Can Cargo get there? Nope. And it's going to go all the way to the wall. Souza gets a green light. He's going to score. It's a triple for Beckham, and it's 5-2. 8th RBI for Beckham.
That snaps an 0 for 15 for Tim Beckham. Jumps on a pitch and splits the outfielders. See, watch Cargo giving chase. He thinks he has a chance to get it. You can tell by the angle. He was considering diving for that baseball. Trying to make sure Tyler Anderson doesn't get nicked up by a ball like that. He's not able to catch it. It's an easy stand-up triple for Tim Beckham, and Souza is able to score from first.
Adam Ottavino is up in the Rockies bullpen. You have Luke Maile, the catcher, at the plate. 0 for 2, a ground out and a strikeout, and then you'll get a pinch hitter. It's a real big sequence here for Anderson if he can somehow prevent Beckham, who runs well, from scoring. If he scores, as much as Anderson is dominated, it seems like the Rockies are way out front. I'm talking about a 2-run game.
Exactly. Well, this is where Tyler Anderson really excels. 5 for 30 with runners in scoring position. That's a 167 batting average. You look up the splits. Nobody's on. Team's at 306 with runners on base, 264, 224. And if you get men in scoring position, Tyler Anderson does not give in whatsoever.
Maile, 25-year-old out of the University of Kentucky. One and one.
I wonder if Chris Russin knows him at all. Russin went to the University of Kentucky. I wonder if their paths have ever crossed, or if Russin in a workout has ever thrown to him.
Yeah, quite possibly. Line shot, base hit, and now it's a 2-run game, 5-3. As Maile has his second RBI since being called up.
See the location, middle. Tyler Anderson's reaction right after he threw that pitch, screaming into his glove. Knew that was a very badly missed location.
This will be Nick Franklin. Pinch hitting. This is a youth team from Japan, we've been told. I know there was a youth team, Yokohama, from Japan playing up in a tournament in Vail over the weekend. This is a hard shot that's past DJ. This is going to roll toward the gap, and this may score Maile. He gets a green light, and he will score. It's a 1-run game now. 3 runs here in the 7th inning against Anderson. And now at the top of the order coming up, and the tying run at second. See how Walt plays this. He's coming out.
The ball that Franklin hits is hit hard. You know it's hit hard when DJ is not able to put a glove on it. And again, a baseball that splits the outfielders right in between Ryan Raybird and Charlie Blackmon. That's going to be Tyler Anderson's night.
He's going to be disappointed, but he pitched a heck of a game. Ran into trouble with 1 out in the 7th, but he departs up 5-4. So here's Adam Ottavino, and at the plate is Logan Forsythe, the tying run at second, and Nick Franklin.
Oh.
That pitch called ball one. It looked like it had the bottom of the strike zone, and appears to have had that on the Subaru strike zone. 1-0. Ottavino, probably in the highest leverage situation he's been called upon in his return off Tommy John surgery so far. Was not real sharp in his last outing in Atlanta. And he works around that slider, and it's 2-0 on Forsythe, who's 0 for 3, a couple of strikeouts against Tyler Anderson.
He still has the fastball. It's averaging over 93 miles an hour. We know how good that wipeout slider is. And you talk to most guys coming off Tommy John, the slider is the last pitch for them to feel really comfortable throwing.
Runner going, throw to third, not going to get him. That's a huge bag right there. Swiped by Nick Franklin.
Perfect opportunity for the Tampa Bay Rays to put some pressure on the Rockies. Franklin, who runs well. Ottavino slow to the plate. You're right. You put yourself at third base now with 1 out. Your odds of scoring a run have increased quite significantly.
The Rockies bring the infield in naturally. And that's strike 3 and 1. But with Forsythe, they have 3 on the left side. And then they take Reynolds and move him about 35, 40 feet off the bag at first. He's the lone guy on the right side. 2-1 here is a strikeout, and Ottavino has the ability to get a lot of them. And that's the good slider, 3 and 2.
You see the crossfire action, the slider. Forsythe is not even able to think about throwing a swing out. 3-1 slider. And he's not trying to hit the baseball to the right side of the field right there. He was just trying to protect. Ottavino does have the upper hand in a situation like this. Forsythe hasn't had many at bats, hasn't seen Adam Ottavino.
Got him on a slider, 2 outs. That's a huge punch out for Ottavino. Not out of the woods, though. You got Kevin Kiermaier coming up.
I talked to Adam today, and he was talking about just chomping at the bit, wanting to get past just 8 pitches. You see the sliders coming closer to being what we've grown accustomed to seeing with that truly wipeout pitch.
Kiermaier has been on base all 3 at bats, 2 walks and an infield hit. Tying run at third, 5-4 Colorado in the 7th. That's a strike. Fastball at 95. You know the adrenaline's pumping through Adam Ottavino right now. This is more of what he's accustomed to. Game on the line, those kinds of situations.
And Adam talks about how he's a feel pitcher. He feels where he stands on the rubber. He feels where he strides. He's not so much mechanical. And if you're missing that adrenaline, that one extra feeling that you get, it'll take him a little bit longer to get those pitches. See that pitch at 95 miles an hour.
He painted there on the inside corner. 1 and 2. And a ground ball weakly hit to second. And a great job by Adam Ottavino as he prevents the equalizer from scoring. Nick Franklin stranded at third. 3 runs for the Rays. It's 5-4. I love it. If that doesn't get the Rockies runs, I'll be shocked.
It's going to. Fired me up.
That's awesome. Kids having a great time. Here's our Kubota pitching performance of the night as we go to the bottom of the 7th. Well, Tyler Anderson was terrific for 6+. He ran into some trouble in the 7th inning. He ends up giving up 4 runs on just 5 hits and 6 1/3. Leadoff walk in that 7th inning hurt him. 5-4. He's on the plus side. And Charlie Blackmon takes strike 1. The new pitcher is Dylan Floro. And that is foul.
It's a little unorthodox with his delivery and his pitching mechanics. Numbers are, after only 4 1/3 of an inning, he throws primarily fastball 81% of the time, has a changeup, throw the occasional slider and curveball.
Interesting kid. He went to Cal State Fullerton. He was drafted out of high school in the 20th round by the Rays. They liked him so much, 3 years later they drafted him in the 13th round out of Fullerton. And he signed then and was a starting pitcher through the minor leagues till a year ago.
You can always tell when a pitcher has been a starter when they have 3 or 4 pitches that they use out of the bullpen.
This ball's on the ground to Forsythe, 1 out. The other thing is, this is really unusual, to see a reliever come in and work out of the windup.
Second baseman, number 9, DJ LeMahieu.
That'll bring up LeMahieu. Double in the 1st inning. He lined out and popped out. 1 for 3. Yeah, the Rockies got to get some of those runs back. We talked about it a couple times tonight. The Rocky starters have really done a fabulous job in the month of July and going back more or less to June 1st. One of the better starting rotations in the game. Yet the wins, which you'd assume would accompany all of that good starting pitching, you know, hasn't been there. Either it's been the offense hasn't produced on those nights, or the bullpen has perhaps let the club down. Well, tonight that offense got to find a way against a suspect bullpen to create some more offense here in the final 3 innings and get separation again on Tampa, because they got a very good start, especially at Coors Field, from Anderson.
Well, in that Rays suspect bullpen, the last 5 games for them, they've pitched surprisingly very, very well. 11 innings, 15 strikeouts, only 6 hits.
But prior to that, it was a mess.
It was a mess, one of the worst in baseball.
High strike call, 2-2. May have shaved the inside corner. Hard sinkers in, 3-2. Arenado's on deck. Rockies 3rd in baseball in OPS, 3rd in slugging percentage. And a 1-out walk to LeMahieu.
The first 10,000 fans through the gates for the Rockies versus the Rays game tomorrow night will receive a coupon for a Hebrew National $1 hot dog.
And you know who's coming back to hand out many of those hot dogs? Frage will be back.
Oh yeah, well he ate. He's probably had 10,000 hot dogs in his life.
Easily. All with mayonnaise on them.
With mayonnaise. There's a collective groan from all the audience. Oh, gross.
Nolan takes ball 1 as that skips up there.
Is George really going to be here tomorrow?
No, but I think if I call him and remind him that tomorrow's dollar hot dog night, he doesn't like to miss those. You know that. He may scoot in from Tulsa.
Yeah, George's
Super dog.
old spot. The super dog.
We just got a really cool cap. We'll have to show everybody.
Is this a giveaway?
This was given away today.
Really?
Yeah.
Come on.
That's a called strike, 1-1.
This is a for real hat.
This is legit. I love it. Seriously, the purple on gray. I really like this.
They gave these away. These feel like $28 hats.
Yes.
Yeah, look at all of them.
Yeah. No skimping here. Come on. That's a double play ball. So the Rockies go quickly, unfortunately, in their half of the 7th. They're clinging to a 5-4 lead as we're off to the 8th inning at Coors Field.
As we go to the 8th with the Rockies up by a score of 5-4. And Drew and Spilly were talking about the starting pitching for the Rockies, which has been excellent. I want to show you a graphic to illustrate this. We'll go back to June 27. You'll notice the Rockies have the most quality starts in the National League with 11. The thing is, and it's 16 games over that time frame coming into tonight, the team is 6-10 of those games. The starters are 4-8, despite 11 quality starts, and the starters having a 3.80 ERA. So, as Drew was saying, it just doesn't compute. You get the guys with the quality starts, but you haven't been able to get the wins. Hopefully they can pull this one out tonight, because Tyler Anderson did his job for at least the 6 innings, went 6 1/3.
Yeah, and again, now you're in one of those tight ball games. Jason Mott's going to handle the 8th inning, at least the first part of it. Evan Longoria is at the plate. He tripled in a run in the first. He's 1 for 3. Fouls that pitch off.
You can see the numbers with Jason Mott. And really, as we've been watching him throughout this season, it feels like he's been reinventing himself a bit. We've seen him change arm angles quite often, throwing cutters, sliders off of it, a changeup.
Brandon Barnes is coming defensively in left field. One of the things that's hurt Jason this year is the long ball. He's allowed 5 home runs in 18 innings. 1-1. Brandon Guyer is your cleanup man. This doesn't happen often. You're going to pinch hit for the guy who started the game in the 4-hole, and it's Corey Dickerson in the on-deck circle for Tampa. Things you don't see every day on a ball field. 1-2. Longoria, go back to that 06 draft. He went 3rd to Tampa. He thought for sure he was going number 2 to the Rockies. This is popped up, and will Nick have a play? No.
I spent a little time talking to Longoria about this, and he said Walt Weiss worked him out. He did a pre-draft workout with Walt Weiss, and Walt was working him out as a second baseman. And the Rockies, if you're curious why they didn't go for him, Garrett Atkins was the third baseman at the time, probably one of the better third basemen offensively in the game. And Ian Stewart in Asheville hit nearly 40 home runs. So looking at the infield moving forward, Longoria was roadblocked by 2 very good players already in the organization.
It was an interesting draft because Hoshaver went number 1. He's a Colorado kid. Greg Reynolds got hurt. Things didn't work out, as all Rockies fans know. This is in the air to deep center field. Going back near the wall. Leaping, can't make the catch, and this is going to be another triple for Longoria. Nobody out, tying run at 3rd.
That new auxiliary fence that the Rockies have added this offseason just saved a home run. 3-2 count. Whether that's a cutter or a slider, just sat in the middle part of the plate. Longoria with the 2 home runs yesterday is in a good spot. Watch Charlie giving chase. That was well up on that new fence. Corey Dickerson just got a nice ovation from the Rockies fans as he stood in the box.
Rockies placed 3 on the right side. The infield essentially is in naturally, and it's fouled off by Dickerson. Corey, as I mentioned at the top of the broadcast, has hit some home runs this year, but he has not hit for average. He hit close to 300 in a Rockies uniform with 39 home runs, drove in 124. And he fouls this one off. Corey looks good. He's trimmed down a little bit.
Corey's last season with the Rockies dealt with plantar fasciitis as well. That is something for anybody that has dealt with it. You understand that it is crippling for a baseball player. Talk about using bat speed and how to create bat speed. You have to use your legs.
Got him. Big strikeout by Mott. That's the first out. And now you have Logan Morrison.
Dickerson at 355, career hitter at Coors Field, gets tied up with the great pitch by Jason Mott inside under those hands. See the fastball running back. Good pitch.
Logan Morrison is 0 for 2 and a walk. Longoria with his second triple at third base in a 5-4 game. The Rockies in front. Top of inning number 8. Longoria with the 2 triples. It's the 13th time a Ray has had 2 triples in the same game. 7 times, not surprisingly, it was Carl Crawford.
That makes sense.
Yeah, back in his heyday when Carl was one of the top players in the game, could really run.
Longoria didn't have a triple coming into tonight's game.
Coors Field will produce some triples. 1-1. This is popped up and maybe playable for Nick. And that's the second one that was tantalizingly close.
It's interesting watching Nick Hundley trying to catch this foul ball. He creates an angle, and watch him. When he originally goes to the fence, he sees it, and then he has to go around to the sidewall to try to create a better angle to maybe dive into the stands and catch the baseball. Sometimes you'll see a catcher run right into the fence where he's stuck, and they don't run around that sidewall. That's knowing your field.
One, two. Did he go? Two and two. The other lefty for the Rays, Xavier Cedeno, is throwing in their pen. Cargo due to lead off next inning. 2-2. And again, it's popped up, and again, this one will be out of play. Where's Morrison running to? Is he going to run and like tackle?
He might. He's
Hundley?
Biggest guy on the field. Might as well. Well, looking at some of the velocity charts for the game logs for Jason Mott, he's not averaged a fastball over 95 since the Toronto series. In the month of July, his fastball is averaging about 92 miles an hour.
2-2. Got him right there at 95. And now there are 2 outs.
2 quality pitches, back-to-back batters. One to Corey Dickerson, that one to Logan Morrison. That two-seamer's running back at 95, reaching back and getting that velocity.
He has struck out 2. Longoria remains at third. He's got to get Souza, the infield. Backs up, and they are defending this in a conventional way. 2 on the right side, 2 on the left side. Souza picks it into the stands late foul. Souza tonight is 0 for 3.
The Rays on the evening are 1 for 6 with runners in scoring position.
And Souza is in a ditch 0-2. Here's the 0-2. I like the thought process. So you got him to chase up a moment ago. 1-2.
And Mott didn't take much time setting. It was almost like a quick pitch.
1-2. Strike 3. What a job by Jason Mott. Leadoff triple Evan Longoria, and he strikes out in succession Corey Dickerson, Logan Morrison, and Steven Souza Jr. And the Rockies continue to lead by a run. Good job. Rockies baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. By Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo customers get your 2-for-1 club level tickets by visiting wellsfargo.com/Rockies. And by GMC. Pretty night at Coors Field. We did have a 32-minute rain delay initially. Flora remains in the game with the Rockies ahead 5-4, looking for some insurance for Carlos Estevez. Here's the 0-1 to Cargo. It's inside. What a job by Jason Mott. Triple by Longoria, and then he strikes out 3 in a row. You had 2 tough hitters in there. I mean, you had Dickerson, you had Morrison. And, you know, Souza's no slouch. 10 home runs coming in.
And watching Jason Mott, we said it at the start when he started the inning, it looks like he's been trying to reinvent himself a bit, using cutters more. And once he, after Longoria hit the triple, he started reaching back and throwing that fastball, the good fastball.
2-2 on Carlos. Cargo a double and a single. Dickerson in the game in left field. He pinch hit for Brandon Guyer, and that's where Guyer was playing. And this ball is hit a long way to center field. Kiermaier going back, and in front of the track, he'll make the catch. Kiermaier tracks that one down, 1 out. That'll bring up Story, who has a 2-run home run earlier in the ballgame. It's 2 for 2 and a walk. Who wants tacos? Fans follow @RootSports_RM on Twitter to receive alerts for the Rockies taco special when the Rockies score 7 or more in a ballgame. Single, stolen base in the first, walked and scored in the fourth, and he hit a long home run to left center, his 22nd in the fifth, and here's what it looked like.
It's a cement mixer slider up in the zone. Trevor did not miss that one.
The pitcher's spot is due next. Ryan Rayburn came out, double switch for Brandon Barnes, so Daniel Descalso's on deck. 2-0. 3-0.
I like how he threw the bat. Sometimes you'll see a guy check swing.
Well, this is a product of him getting hit on the hand a couple weeks ago.
No doubt. Well, you'll see some guys check swing on accident and put the ball in play.
Ball looked in. 3-1.
It's a liberal 3-0 strike zone.
You used to call it the automatic, right? Dylan Flora, second inning of work. And that's a good slider. 2 outs. That'll bring up Descalso.
Don't miss the action when the Rockies face the Atlanta Braves Thursday through Sunday. Get your tickets today.
.400 average off the bench for Descalso. That'll work. Tampa throws 3 on the right side. And this is a Baltimore chop to Longoria, and he just did get it to Morrison in time. So we will go to the 9th inning. The Rockies 5, the Rays 4, unless we have a challenge.
Might as well.
And we're going to get a challenge.
If anything, Descalso looked like he slowed down right before he got to first base.
This break is brought to you by Brakes Plus. Stop into your local Brakes Plus for all your automotive maintenance needs. Also visit BrakesPlus.com for special offers.
I think you beat it.
I think you're right. Daniel did a strange chop step before he got to the first base bag. I think he beats it.
Yeah, I think the foot's down before the ball's disappeared in the glove. A lot of folks in the stands agree. Crowd of better than 30,000 this evening.
30,000 umpires in the stands.
Van Ayesanya is going to let us know. Safe. There you go. Be an infield hit for Descalso. And then Mark Reynolds goes and hits a bomb, and you get 2 runs back.
Yeah, 2 for the price of 1. See the Rays outfielders moving way back. This is no double situation. You're trying to keep
line drive. Yep, there's a base hit. Descalso will go first to, whoa, he hesitated, which kind of shocked me. Goes first to third.
Now the Rockies hitters have seen Flora throw for a couple batters. An idea of what he's trying to do, and Mark Reynolds jumping on the first pitch he sees. Happy to be back at Coors Field. Descalso is thinking he didn't want to challenge the arm of Kiermaier and get thrown out at third base, but once he saw Kiermaier fumble the ball,
McCunley, a chance to, with 2 outs, expand the Rockies' lead for Carlos Estevez. Nick had a sac fly to drive in a run in the 4th. Mark Reynolds, who's standing on first, has had a 3-hit ball game. Good way to break out of an 0 for 15 for Mark.
I wanted to pay attention. Look how shallow Kiermaier's playing in center field. Most guys aren't playing that shallow. Trust his ability to get back on a baseball.
Two strikes on Hundley. Nick was behind 2 strikes when he launched the deep fly ball in the 4th inning to score a run. Estevez will get the bottom 3rd of the Rays order in the 9th inning. Rockies had a 5-1 lead. Rays rallied for 3 against Tyler Anderson, who was terrific till that point. It came in the 7th. Anderson on the plus side. Drew Smiley as the hook for Tampa. This guy's trying to bring it home. First and third, 2 outs. Here's the 1-2.
You need to turn your hats backwards, kids. Let's go. Rally hat time.
And the 2-2.
There you go.
Wild pitch, and that'll get an extra run home. Descalso makes it 6-4. Now how big was that challenge by Wall?
Huge, and there's no reason not to challenge. You only have so many that you can use. Descalso putting the ball in play, getting an infield single, the double clutch by Longoria. Base hit by Mark Reynolds. The wild pitch. I don't care how you manufacture it, it's always important to score an extra run, and 2 outs, nobody on. It's a huge, important run for the Rockies.
Rockies won a game Saturday night, taking advantage of Atlanta's miscues and a number of wild pitches. Atlanta what did they have, 38 wild pitches over the weekend? Ball 4. And now Brandon Barnes will come up.
Yeah, I think 38 wild pitches is right. It's a record, right?
It seems that way. They did set a record. They had 8 wild pitches.
I looked it up, and Atlanta Braves had 51 passed balls.
That was as sloppy a defensive weekend, especially with the batteries.
Over the course of the season, though, 51 led baseball by 5 or 6.
Left fielder, number 1, Brandon Vaughn.
6-4 Colorado. Conversation is done at the mound. Looking at Dylan Flora, and I'm thinking the Kenny Chesney song, Floribama.
I don't know that song.
It's a good tune.
A few I don't.
Border Florida and Alabama, the Floribama.
Yeah.
Fouled off. Little watering hole.
You reading these lyrics off the Google?
Oh. Actually understand some of the lyrics I'm listening to. First at bat for the Barnyard. Two good hacks, 0-2. Barnes used to compete against Tampa when he was with the Houston Astros. Just 1 for 17, though, against the Rays. Good time to change that. Guy's going to catch it on video. Told you, base hit. Here comes Reynolds around third. Miscue by Dickerson. And the Rockies have a 3-run lead. I don't think Corey was going to throw out Reynolds anyhow, but it allows Barnes to move up. It'll be a single, an RBI, and an E7. And the Rockies have done 2-out damage to get some separation again.
That's my favorite. Anytime you can start with 2 outs, nobody on, and find a way to score runs, multiple runs. It's also why it's so important if you're a pinch hitter to just fire away. Brandon Barnes swung at all 3 pitches he saw. Great at bat. He's looking at his fellow Goot squatters in the dugout.
We can tell Kevin Cash's philosophy coming in here. He's not going to burn up his bullpen. He's basically telling Dylan Flora, now you got to wear it. Here's Blackman. Blackman hits one in the air to Dickerson, and that'll end the inning. But the Rockies come up with 2 runs with a 2-out rally, and now they'll take a 7-4 lead in the 9th inning. Brandon Barnes coming through.
whole thing. Carlos Estevez coming in to close things out at Coors Field. The Rockies looking for an interleague win. Jenny Kavnar with you out in center field, getting ready for the Toyota postgame show. Jeff Houston will join me. We'll talk about Tyler's tough night through 6. Then, of course, things got a little hairy in the 7th, but the bullpen has been clutch. We will break it down, especially Jason Mott's performance. We also saw some more power from the rookie Trevor Story. That's always a good story and something to talk about on the Toyota postgame show. Hopefully also a Rockies win, guys. We'll send it back to you to finish out baseball. We'll see you right after the game.
All right, Jenny, sounds good. Carlos Estevez will be looking for save number 6. No fun facing him. The opposition hitting just 2 clicks over the Mendoza line. Well, the Rockies, with that rally in the bottom of the 8th, have eclipsed the 7-run mark, which is always great news. Don't forget to go to your participating Taco Bell locations tomorrow between 4 and 6 to receive your Rockies Taco Special. Liv Moss at Taco Bell. Tim Beckham will lead it off.
I will tell you from experience and running out to the outfield after a pinch hit RBI and then going to play some defense like Brandon Barnes is, there's nothing better.
Well, you got your own private cheering section out there
awesome.
waiting for you.
Yeah, what's up? Like, that was sweet, huh? The outfield, you can't help but talk to yourself too, pumping yourself up.
Anybody else too far away?
Oh, it still hit him.
Tim Beckham did a great job getting out of the way of the slider, and then it ricocheted back and got him anyhow. Did you see in Atlanta yesterday? You were watching the game.
Yeah.
2 guys almost. Charlie Blackmon was one. I forget who the other one was, who almost got hit on ricochet. So watch Tim. Okay, now safe. Got out of the way of that. Oh, okay. All right, get ready for the next pitch. Ooh. Like a Laurel and Hardy skit. That's high. 2-1. Carlos having trouble finding the feel for the slider. How about the 98-mile-an-hour gas? That's always good.
Throw him the heater, Ricky. When you come out here with Wild Thing, might as well do what Wild Thing does.
He shorted him in MPH. That was at 99. Two. That's out of play. Talking about cheering sections, I know I probably sound like his personal cheering section every time he comes in, and I know he's kicked a couple. I cannot tell you how much I like this guy's makeup. I mean, he just has the right mentality and certainly the stuff to be in this role. Right demeanor, right personality. I was having a conversation with Brandon Barnes the other day about how good the young guys are for the Rockies, how respectful of the game they are, how they understand how it works at the big league level, and you know, the hierarchy, if you will. And he said Trevor Story's been such, not just how he's played obviously, but just how he conducts himself. He said Carlos Estevez, what a beautiful, you know, kid. And you remember when you broke in, and then you remember when you were one of those veteran guys.
Sure, and you know, when you first get into the big leagues, it's better to take it all in, not be so loud.
This missed. 3-2. That was 100.
Learn from your veterans, but you also try to keep the routines that allowed you to be successful in the minor leagues and being strict about it. And that's why it's been so impressive watching a guy like Tyler Anderson continuing to keep a book on the dugout. The things that make you successful in the minor leagues will make you successful in the big leagues. But there's also opportunity if you sit and listen for some knowledge.
Beckham hanging tough. He hit a triple in the 7th inning, part of that 3-run rally. Rays were down 5-1. Close to 5-4. It's now 7-4. This will be pitch number 10 of this sequence coming up. How about pitch number 11? That was at 101. Did you see earlier that Aroldis Chapman threw a pitch 105 point, was it 1 or 2 miles an hour?
0.1.
0.1. The hardest pitch ever recorded.
Well, he threw it for a ball, so who cares?
Well, Beckham wins the battle. One jog down to first. And that'll bring up a pinch hitter. It'll be Brad Miller, who's pretty much the everyday shortstop. He didn't start tonight against the lefty Anderson. Miller's got 15 home runs, which is a career best. Also matches the most by a shortstop ever for Tampa. Asdrubal Cabrera hit 15 one year for the Rays. And a ground ball to first, just getting out. There's one on to first. Oh, he's got a double play. Estevez got over there quickly.
He may have got spiked. Carlos looking down at his feet. DJ's checking in on Carlos, making sure he's all right. See the great pick by Reynolds. That's why him being a former third baseman now playing first. He does things at first you don't see normal first basemen make just because of his pedigree being a third baseman. I think he got spiked.
No, another pinch hitter. This is Oswaldo Arcia. He started yesterday in that 5-2 win against Baltimore. Hit a home run in that ball game.
Tampa Bay Rays have hit a lot of home runs this year, 7th in the American League.
And this one's out of play. Two strikes on Arcia. 7-4 Rockies. They doubled the hit total at Tampa tonight, 12-6. First of 3 against the Rays, and then the Braves are in for 4. Oh, 2. See you later. 2 outs.
Especially with guys coming off the bench, it's hard to catch up to 97 no matter what. Off the bench above your belt, no chance. Left-handed turn right towards the dugout.
Pitching matchup tomorrow. Tyler Chatwood for the Rockies. And a well-thought-of prospect Blake Snell will go for Tampa. We're on the air at 6 p.m. right here on Root Sports with the pregame show. Pitch is fouled off. Miller had started towards second. He'll come back. 0-1 on Logan Forsythe. Big, strong kid from Santo Domingo. Carlos Estevez. Carlos has spent his junior year in West Virginia going to a prep school. He was going to stay there. The school closed down. Went back to the Dominican Republic. Right cheerful kid who's very well spoken in both Spanish and English. Here's the 0-2 and a comebacker corralled by Estevez. Ball game over. Rockies start the homestand in a terrific way. 7-4 victory over the Tampa Bay Rays. They're now 6-5 against the American League in 2016. They're 21-22 at home. Overall, they're 43-49. The winning pitcher, Tyler Anderson, he's now 2-3. Drew Smiley takes the loss. He's 2-11. And it was save number 6 for Carlos Estevez. Our Jimmy John's delivery of the game. Well, it had been much maligned at times of late, but the bullpen outstanding this evening. Adam Ottavino, 2/3 of an inning. Got 2 huge outs with the tying run at third. And then Jason Motta, leadoff triple by Longoria, and he struck out the next 3 in his finest Rockies performance to date. And then Carlos Estevez nailed it down in the 9th inning. Great work by that Rockies bullpen. Plenty to talk about on the Twitter postgame show. Rockies 7, Rays 4. We go to center field. Here's Jenny.
All right, Drew, thanks. You mentioned it. Bullpen huge, but this was a total team win. Jenny Kavner with Jeff Houston.